My name is Josh Gannon, and I'm a script supervisor. I answered an ad on Mandy.com.
Really?
Yeah, for a script soup for a USC web series. It was one of the most fun shoots I've ever had. It might have been because I didn't know a lot, so I was just learning everything in 5 days. But yeah, I studied film at San Francisco State, and I had PA'd for free and done a good amount of work as a PA, just in school, not on like professional stuff, but just getting to know a lot of stuff. And I was kind of over it. I wanted to find another aspect to filmmaking on set that was closer to the actual filmmaking than being a PA. And so I answered an ad to be a script soup. I had always heard of it. I know it was always something different. I wasn't a grip. I'm not crafty for art. And I don't want to learn the camera. I don't want to learn a camera department. So I didn't want to be like a first or a second or anything like that. And I always feel like I was a pretty observant person. And so I just took a stab at it, and I told him, like, this is my very first time doing this. Like, bear with me. And they're like, all right, cool, it's fine, it's whatever. And it was paid, which was miraculous. At the time, I was like, they're going to pay me, and I've never done it. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I got into it. And then I fell in love with it after that shoot. And I bought a book. I bought, like, the continuity Bible that's called Script Supervising and Film Continuity by Pat Miller. And I read that, and I just skipped over the things that I already knew, which wasn't a lot in that book, but yeah, and then I just kept learning with every project. I would define a script supervisor as the person that has to make sure that the movie can be edited together as best as possible. I only say as best as possible because I used to make this mistake before I became one. But when I wasn't a script supervisor and I saw a continuity error, I would think like, oh, where was the script supervisor on that shot? Mm-hmm. But you don't know that, like, in those takes, they could have messed up, and then the script supervisor could have fixed it, but then the editor and the director really like those different takes where they don't match, and so they use it anyways. And so I feel like that's one part of script supervising that not a lot of people might know. Also, it could be the script supervisor's fault, but you just don't know in the final edit from the audience perspective.
Yeah.
There's much more communication between the script supervisor and the director, in my experience. Obviously, I think there should be a good amount of communication between the scriptee and the editor. But there's a lot of communication. There should be, I believe. I've been on sets where there wasn't a lot and it was kind of weird, and I've been on sets where there was a good amount and things got done well, or there's just communication, and so there weren't any fights. There were differences, but there weren't any fights. Not saying that if you don't communicate you're going to fight, but just there's less chance of that happening if you talk.
If everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, if everyone's on it. You might not agree, or things might not match, and the director might not really care sometimes, which is totally fine. It's his or her movie. It's up to him or her. But as long as you are able to communicate openly, I feel like things could be filmed well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, some of my favorite projects have been that USC web series. It was about it was sponsored by Subway, and so it was a puppet web series about this bread named Herman who looked like a Subway bread loaf, and he moved to Hollywood to be in a Subway commercial. And it was like, I couldn't stop saying this, but it was just the cutest thing. It was just so funny and adorable, and so many so many bread puns that I'm a sucker for a good pun. Even if it's like a dad pun, it's just like, but that's pretty good. Like,
oh, that's the entirety of what our is based off of. It's bad
entire
puns.
operating platform.
Every sketch we've ever made was based off a bad pun.
So there's that, and then my other favorite one is there's this. I was hired to script soup a digital web series for Nickelodeon for Nick.com, and I was very lucky to get on that. A few of my good friends were producing it, and they introduced me to the director, and he was really knows what he's doing, what he wants, how to communicate, and he's a real like team player, which is all I ask for in a director, for my position at least. But it was called, I don't know what it's called now. It changed, but it was called Junior I, and it was about these three middle school detectives, and they solved middle school, not crimes but mysteries.
Yeah.
So it was like, who is Sally's secret admirer, or like who canceled the dance? Like, it's just like those like silly but really interesting mysteries if it's built up well enough. And we shot a pilot for it 1 year, and then it got picked up for like 9 episodes or webisodes, and they're all like 5 to 7 minutes each, and it was a 9-day shoot, and like it was the most fun, most laughter I've ever had on a set. And the kids, these are 11-year-olds to 13-year-olds.
Actual kids.
Yeah, actual kids.
Okay.
And I know there are child actors that have it, that get it, but after you've worked with a good amount of child actors that don't, when you get those actors that do know, it is such a relief. And I would tell them these notes about like, oh, remember on the wide shot you did it like this. Just remember to do it like that. And because Will, the director, really likes that, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. And then it wasn't easy blocking. It was like, or I don't think it was easy blocking, but I'm not an actor, so I respect actors that do it in general very much. So if you do it well, it's like I can't handle you. You're just too good. So that was a fun shoot, and I just did a feature in the desert, and which sounds like it would not be fun, but it was a lot of fun. It was, because I did one feature. The feature I did before this last one, it was like in a house, 16 days, same house. And so we'd get kind of stir crazy because it'd just be like living room, kitchen, bedroom, and just like in the same place. Great for production and great for great for the budget.
Yeah, overhead's not that good.
Yeah. But this last feature was all outside during the day, and just so much space, and the ranch owners were so welcoming to everything because it's a movie ranch, so they knew what was going to happen and like how trailers work and why there's so much communication and everything. And just a set that's well communicated is just so much fun. It's just so much easier to go through your days that way. If you are organized, observant, and I think if you want to go into directing or editing, then you should try out script supervising. Just because with directing, it helps you with composition of frames and just knowing what shots you need just to edit it, not even as a performance part, but just as when you're directing, it'll help you handle what kind of shots you need to tell the story and what you don't need. Because some directors like to overshoot, some directors like to undershoot. Works both ways. And with editing, it's the same. With editing, it's the same way, but it's just you're just not going to direct later on. Like that's really the only difference if you want to get into script supervising. Well, obviously, if you could, I would get a script supervisor. Obviously, I've directed sets where we couldn't have one. Even after I started script supervising, I was like, I know this is so ironic, guys, but I can't afford a script supervisor. It was just because I didn't have the money and whatever. So I totally understand why, on an economical and budgetary stance, why you don't. But if you're if you do, that's great because he or she will help you out a lot if they're good. Which most of them that I've met, they're amazing. So you're really in good hands, I think, because it's not an easy job to take on. But if you can't have one, I would, yeah. If you can't have one, I would, yeah. Write down as many notes. Everything that you were saying was great. It was, yeah. Write down as many notes and take as many pictures, just so you remember. Even when I'm script supervising, I have to take a lot of pictures because there's a lot for me to remember with the dialogue and the blocking, and from the previous scene, if they enter in the right way or if they go out the correct way for the next scene. There's just in the wardrobe and the hair and the makeup, and it's just to make sure that you have everything there at your disposal that you can bring up. And if you have a question like, oh, did he have the glass in his left hand, and then you can have pictures to go and be like, oh yes he did, or anything like that. It is a lot easier if you don't have a script supervisor and you're worried about continuity. I would say get as many clean shots as possible, because when you don't have a script supervisor and there's a lot of dirty shots, it's a lot harder, it's a lot easier to mess up the continuity, because you're going back and forth, and the director and the DP love the angle, and but there's not someone looking at, like, when he says this line, is the other person looking to the right, looking at the person, and that's so easy. And so I always advise directors to at least try and get a clean shot, just in case, so that they can have something to edit against. Because then if you have a clean shot of both, like, actors and two in a scene, you have like a wide and two cleans, then you have a lot less footage to possibly mess up. You can easily cut around different eye lines, different looks with different kinds of footage. But yeah, I would say just stick to as clean of shots as possible, and any kind of shots of just pure reactions. So then, in case they don't get it when they're talking, then if they get shots of them reacting, then you can edit it in later, rather than trying to like say that line again. Yeah. Okay, no, say it like this, and then trying to get someone's reaction. I would just have the director say it or like react as if he did this or if she did that, just to make it a lot easier for you. If the movie is good enough, I don't care. If I've told this to a lot of people, if you show me every continuity error that's in like Silver Linings Playbook, which is one of my favorite movies, mm-hmm. I really will not care. Like, I'll see it and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's a continuity error, but I don't care, because this movie is so, to me, it's so good, and I love watching just Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence go off each other. Like, if a movie's good, if the story's good, I'm not gonna look at it, because it's gonna, like, it'll go over my head, because it doesn't bother me. But if a movie is so bad, or just like I'm on the edge and I notice that, then it's like, oh well, because I feel like that's when everyone looks at continuity errors, really, is if like the movie's so bad, it's like, what else is bad about this movie? And then they notice it even more, because they're kind of like wanting to hate it even more, so then they want to find those things. Like there's one in there's one in every movie. There's one in The Theory of Everything, which is one of my favorite movies. Like, obviously, it won Oscars for acting, and so and other Oscars, but that I don't know. But it won awards. It won more than just one award. So it was a long time ago. Anyway, it's won prestigious awards, and it had great people, and it's directed by a great person, a great director. And there's one shot where when he meets his wife, or his future wife at the time, and they're at a ball, and she has a wine glass in her right hand when they're walking towards the camera, and then they go from behind them, and it's in her left, and it's in the shot in the left. And I was like stunned that it was. I wasn't stunned, but because now I know like what goes on. But I guess I was more stunned that it still happens, or that it like it's gonna happen even in award show driven movies. But I only noticed it because it was in the center of the frame, and it was a really good scene. It was a really good movie, but I still noticed it because my cue is to look at people's hands rather than their faces. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting that's your focal point.
Yeah.
Because that's like what I assume the most mistakes happen, is just minor hand placement.
Yeah, it's all about where the props were, if their hands on their face versus on like the armchair, whatever, or the chair. But yeah, my one of those.
On the whole chair, not,
On the
not
whole
just
chair,
the arm.
just
the
the
entire chair.
entire couch. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's usually what I look at. Any advice? I would say if you really want to get into it, definitely pick up Pat Miller's book, the film continuity and script supervising. There's so much in there that I didn't know from before that that helped me out. There's also a new one called Beyond Continuity by Mary Cebulski. She script supervised Michael Clayton, Syriana, Life of Pi, Eternal Sunshine, and she has her ways. That's another thing, is that every script supervisor has a different technique, but as long as it works, it works. And she's working for Ang Lee and working with George Clooney, so I think she knows what she's doing.
You can supervise for Ang Lee.
Yeah. I would say read that book and watch a movie that just watch any movie and just don't look at their faces, look at their hands, look at their wardrobe, and see if you notice anything. There's going to be one in there, because there's probably going to be one, and it's cliche, but just get on a set and fail. Mm-hmm. Like my first, that Herman web series, I was not good. I had fun, but I learned a lot, and it's because I didn't know what I was doing. I had the basics of a notebook, and I didn't even have a stopwatch, and I wasn't even taking pictures. I was going based off my brain, which is tough.
Yeah.
Now, but at that, ignorance is bliss. When I was doing it, I was like, this is so easy and so much fun, and it still is fun, but it's not easy if you're doing it well. I would say, just get on a set that's your friends, that doesn't really need a script supervisor, but they'll take you anyways. Mm-hmm. Or if you get lucky like I did, I just answered an ad and I was honest, and I said, I have never done this, I'm just interested, do you want to take a chance on me? And they just took a chance. So the best thing is probably is to buy a book, get on a set, and if you can, reach out to any other script supervisors that you know, or go on Facebook. There are plenty of open groups about scripties, and ask questions. All right, guys, if you want to learn more about script supervising, I actually give out a seminar it's a 2-hour seminar to learn about the basics of script supervising. I go over from pre-production, breaking down a script, to how it is during production, and then how to line a script for your editor in post-production. Just give me an email at jgannon243@gmail.com. It should be something right here, something like that. Just give me a shout out. I can talk to you for 2 hours or more, it doesn't matter. And it's $50. Thank you for watching Long Division Films. Make sure to click like and subscribe.